Welcome back to this new inspirational video. Today I wanted to go over Fleeing to the Mountains shared by Emmet Fox and explain it a little further so that you can hopefully apply it in your life. Now Emmet said the following: the moment you catch yourself thinking a negative thought, you should reject it instantly. Immediately switch your attention to the presence of God. Do not stop to say goodbye to the error thought, but break the connection instantly and occupy your mind with good. You will be surprised how many difficulties will begin to melt away out of your life. Indeed, we may say that when error presents itself to consciousness, the first 5 seconds are golden. Jesus teaches this lesson in his own graphic way. The immediate application of his words was, of course, to the coming siege of Jerusalem, but the idea involved is eternal. The holy place is your consciousness, and the abomination of desolation is any negative thought, because a negative thought means belief in the absence of God at the point concerned. Those who are in Judea are those who believe that prayer does change things. To flee to the mountains means to pray, especially that quick switching of thought to the presence of God, which I have mentioned. Now that's the end of the paragraph I wanted to go over, and basically what we're dealing with here is this concept of fleeing to the mountain. First and foremost means becoming aware that physically we might not be in danger. Sometimes we are, but mentally we're in constant danger. Now I'm not saying that to scare you, but it's actually something we have to contemplate for ourselves. The fact that we're always going to deal with negative thoughts in our lives, and they are dangerous to a certain extent, because if we go along with them we end up in bad places in the long run. This is the magic of thinking, for lack of a better description. It's like magical almost, we could say, is that when we change our thoughts and we keep it changed, we can actually move in a better direction. This is the main theme of all metaphysical teachings, is to remind the student that they have this power within themselves. So fleeing to the mountain, as Emmet said, does indeed simply mean changing your thought, but that isn't always easy. Sometimes people have some issue with that on its own, and I think a better way to look at it is to add a description by Neville Goddard to this paragraph, because Neville would say God in you is your imagination, or he would say the imagination is God in action. So if we take that description of God, the power of God itself, if we're going to practice the presence of God, in other words, we're going to practice the presence of imagination. So no matter where you sit, if a negative thought occurs, if you were to start imagine something absolutely wonderful for yourself, you are mentally switching your focus, and then it gives you something to think about on a better way of life. What I'm getting at is that if you imagine something absolutely incredible that you want to realize, or how you would like things to be, it gives you something to think about. So it automatically switches your thoughts away from the negative, as you can tell. So why is this difficult for many people? Well, first of all, it's only difficult as long as we don't believe that imagination really is the greatest power in our lives through which we can improve everything around us. But once we really grasp that this is the truth, then it makes sense to use your imagination in that manner. And indeed, as Neville would say, that is another way of practicing the presence of God, becoming aware of this power of God with and through us. And that is what we want to do. So if you're facing negative thoughts right now and you find it difficult to switch your thoughts, by using your imagination you can actually build a scene in your mind of something absolutely wonderful, and then it becomes easier to think about that wonderful vision inside consciousness. So indeed, we are fleeing in the sense that we are no longer going along with the negativity of the world. This isn't always easy, especially if a lot of chaos is going on and impressing itself upon us constantly through the senses, or maybe it's happening physically right now where we are living. It's difficult at times to focus your mind on the positive during those moments in life. And that is why fleeing is not only mentally but also physically, in a sense, is that we have to step away as much as possible, physically speaking, from anything negative, and then we have to make sure that mentally speaking we also step away from the negative, because they are more subtle. The mental aspects of negativity are so subtle that they might take us over without us realizing in time. And then one day we find ourselves depressed and overly frustrated, and then we have to realize again, okay, I have to change my mind. Physically speaking, perhaps nothing bad has occurred in my world, but yet here I am feeling bad. I have to change my mind somehow. I have to take the time to change my mind, because if I don't change the state of mind that I am, then I keep reoccurring this negativity inside of my own essence, inside of my soul. This is really the battle that we're facing. Even for me, at times I might suddenly feel negative, and then I look around me and I'm like, my life itself, physically speaking, isn't bad at all. But for some reason I feel bad, and then, it doesn't take me very long to realize, well, it's because for some reason, for whatever it was causing it, I was going along with negative thought. I was suddenly finding myself focusing on limitations and lack, and we don't want to do that at all. We have to keep reminding ourselves of the opulence and goodness and prosperity and unlimited abundance of God. And we do that by consciously exercising the power of imagination, through which we can allow our thoughts to flow. So you have the vision inside consciousness of something absolutely marvelous, and then you allow your reasoning mind to flow with and through that vision, to allow your reasoning mind to actually go along with that vision instead of the physical negativity or negative thoughts that might temporarily occur to us at times. Because as long as we go along with those thoughts, nothing good can come out of it. We have to understand this power that we hold in order to change our destiny. And how do we exercise this power? We exercise it by our own willingness and therefore ability to use it. I know this sounds so weird to many people, but they're stuck in life because they're not applying the power that they actually have. They're not truly aware of what it means to have imagination, the ability to think, the ability to feel. And of course, if you feel bad, once the thought actually turns into negative emotional states, well then you're even under greater pressure almost to change that around, because the feelings are always going to determine what the body will do in the long run. So the worse we feel, the more we're inclined to do negative things, physically speaking, ourselves. But the better and greater we feel, the more optimistic, the more passionate, the more full of love we feel, the more we are inclined to act accordingly physically as well. So therefore you see, the hidden key to changing the results in your lives is again within your very self. It hides in the emotional state of your own mind. If you can take charge of that, if you can influence the emotional self, gently speaking, you don't force yourself to do it, you learn to imagine about great things and then think about them, what they would mean, and then as you go along with it honestly and patiently, you will start to feel differently as well, and then you can alter your life in any direction you want, and you are essentially fleeing away to the mountains in a symbolic way. You're fleeing away to the mountain retreat of your fulfilled desires inside your imagination, is how we might as well put it. Because that is exactly what we're called upon to do, and what we will be doing if we apply these teachings. We are altering our states of minds at will. This is truly the greatest power you possess, because this will ultimately help you achieve whatsoever you desire. Sadly, it's ignorance that's holding us back. When negative thoughts occur, should we go along with them? Absolutely not. But yet we do at times, so we have to become aware of when we are doing it, so we can catch ourselves in the act and then change it around as soon as possible. If we're going along with it under some sort of hypnotic spell, we might never catch ourselves doing it, and therefore we also don't understand why our lives are spiraling out of control at times. Many people are living in that place because they're not studying the mind. They don't even know that there's actual material out there that can help them study their own consciousness. In fact, it might sound very bizarre. What's the point of studying consciousness? How can that help me get what I want? They don't understand the creative process, you see. But once we do understand it, and we are learning to understand it, we can clearly see the great importance of this work, of our work to control and study the mind. We're talking about our own mind. We don't have to work on controlling other people. That's like mental dictatorship at that point. We don't have to do that, even though other people might keep trying to do it with us. We're going to control our minds for ourselves and decide where we're gonna go. So when negative thoughts occur, indeed, you have to change it around. You should reject it instantly, as Emmet said. And this rejecting, as he also said, is not by really saying goodbye to it, but that we mean by sort of still going along with it and trying to make amends with the thought, and then being like how you would with a person if you're in conflict. Well, When it comes down to thoughts, we instantly cut it off. We're not dealing with a person here, we're dealing with a mental thing going on within ourselves, and we have to cut it off instantly. So, in a symbolic way, I could describe it as the following. If you were in conflict with a person that is negative, if they're very important to you, and if you then cut them off instantly by turning around and walking away, that might be a bit too harsh. If they're very important to you in general as a person. But with our thoughts, we do want to be like that. We don't want to go along with it unnecessarily. We truly want to turn around and walk away from the negative thought. And we do that by redirecting the focus of our own consciousness, by redirecting it on what we are focusing on. Learn to use your imagination, see visions of fulfilled desires. Every time negative thoughts occur to you, refocus yourself on those visions of fulfilled desires. Totally become full of them, consumed by them. And that will be your remedy to negative thought. Even though at first it might sound delusional, in the end it will show you that it will help you grow towards a better future for yourself. And that is the beauty of consciousness. That is the beauty of the power you possess. And it should dawn upon all of us that we can do this, and we have to keep doing it, because otherwise we walk the risk of flying down and spiraling down this whole rabbit hole of negativity, and we don't want to be there. We want to step out of the darkness into the light. Now, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to receive inspirational videos on a regular basis. And with that being said, dear viewer, never forget that we are the dreamers.